There's a twisted little joke life loves to play. It whispers in your ear when you're young. Be nice, play fair, seek approval, and they'll love you for it. But that's a lie. A big, fat, filthy lie. The world doesn't respect the desperate. It doesn't value the ones bending over backward, breaking themselves into 1,000 pieces just to earn a pat on the back. No, no, no. They'll smile to your face, sure, but deep down, they're laughing at you, mocking you. Because the second you make it clear you need their approval, you hand them the keys to your soul. You felt it, haven't you? That gnawing, hollow ache in your chest. You tell yourself, if I try harder, they'll see me. If I'm better, they'll love me. And yet, no matter what you do, no matter how many hoops you jump through, they never truly see you, do they? They don't give a damn about who you are or what you've been through. You're just another face in the crowd, another puppet dangling on strings they control. But here's the punchline, kid. They'll only respect you once you stop giving a damn. You think respect comes from being liked, from being loved? Wrong. Respect is born in the shadows, in the places where you stop begging for their approval and start demanding your own. It's carved into your bones when you learn to stand alone, when you refuse to let their opinions shape you. Let me tell you something real, something raw. The day you stop chasing their applause, the day you stop asking for their validation, that's the day you become dangerous. Because nothing scares them more than someone who doesn't need them. Someone who's untouchable, untamed. You see, people are cowards, all of them. They cling to their fragile egos, their hollow words, their false smiles. And when they see someone who doesn't play their game, someone who doesn't care about their rules, it terrifies them. They don't know how to handle it. Suddenly the power shifts. Suddenly you're the one holding the cards. But it's not easy, is it? Cutting those strings. Letting go of the need to be seen, to be loved, to be enough. It's like ripping out a piece of your own heart. Painful, brutal, but necessary. Because as long as you're chasing their approval, you'll never find your own worth. You'll be trapped, a prisoner in a cage they built for you. And trust me, kid, I know what it feels like to be in that cage, to look in the mirror and see nothing but cracks, to hear their laughter echoing in your head, their sneers branding your skin. But I also know what it feels like to break free, to look them in the eye and say, I don't need you. Oh, they'll hate you for it. They'll call you selfish, arrogant, ungrateful. They'll try to pull you back down to remind you of your place. But their words won't matter anymore, because you'll know the truth. You'll know that their respect was never worth the chains it came with. Here's the kicker, though. Once you stop needing their approval, once you stop giving a damn about their opinions, that's when they start to notice. Suddenly, they see you differently. They start to respect you, even fear you, because they can't control you anymore, and control is all they ever wanted. But don't mistake their respect for love. It's not. It's fear dressed up in a pretty mask. And that's okay, because you don't need their love. You don't need their validation. All you need is you. Your strength, your fire, your refusal to be anything less than unstoppable. So here's my advice, kid. Stop apologizing for who you are. Stop trying to fit into their little boxes. Stop waiting for their approval like a dog begging for scraps. Burn their expectations to the ground and build something new, something wild, something untouchable. Because the truth is, they'll only respect you once you stop needing their approval. And by then, you'll realize you never needed it to begin with. The Joker pauses, his eyes burning with intensity. His voice drops to a whisper, cutting through the silence like a blade. You have a choice, kid. Stay in their cage or burn it down. Stay small or rise. Keep begging or start taking. The world's waiting to see what you'll do. Approval. That word. That filthy, disgusting word. It's poisoned more lives than any bullet, more dreams than any blade. And you've let it poison yours. You've let their opinions dictate your every move, like a puppet waiting for someone to pull the strings. Let me ask you something, kid. When did you decide their opinions mattered more than your own? Was it when they first ignored you? When they laughed at you? Or was it when you looked in the mirror and didn't like what you saw? Let me paint a picture for you. Every time you seek their approval, you give them a piece of yourself, a piece of your soul, your pride, your fire. And the sickest part? They don't even notice. They don't even care. They just take and take, leaving you empty, hollow, a shell of who you were meant to be. But here's the cruel joke. They don't respect what they can take for free. No. People only respect what they can't touch, what they can't break. You ever wonder why the ones who walk alone, the ones who don't give a damn, are the ones who get noticed? It's because they've figured it out. They've realized that needing someone else's validation is the fastest way to become invisible. You want to be seen? Stop hiding behind their approval. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into their narrow little minds. You want to matter? Stop letting them define your worth. Because the truth, the harsh, ugly truth, is that they don't get to decide who you are. You do. But don't think for a second this is going to be easy. Oh no, kid. Breaking free is going to hurt. It's going to tear you apart. You'll lose people, friends, family, people you thought would be in your corner forever. And it'll feel like dying, like ripping out a piece of your heart. But what's the alternative? Staying small? Staying silent? Letting them walk all over you for the rest of your life? No, not you. Not anymore. You've been through too much, haven't you? I can see it in your eyes. The weight of it all. The pain. The betrayal. The nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering why you're never enough. Wondering why, no matter how hard you try, they never see you. Never truly see you. Well, let me tell you something. It's not because you're not enough. It's because they're blind. Blind to your strength, your potential, your fire. And that's their loss, not yours. But you've got to make a choice, kid. Are you going to keep wasting your life chasing people who'll never appreciate you? Or are you going to rise? Are you going to stand up, look them in the eye, and say, I don't need you? Because the moment you do, the moment you stop giving a damn, is the moment you'll find your power, your freedom. You think freedom comes from being liked, from being accepted? Wrong. Freedom comes from letting go, from walking away, from realizing that their opinions don't mean a damn thing. Freedom comes from looking in the mirror and saying, I'm enough, just as I am. But don't think for a second that they'll make it easy for you. Oh no. The second you stop needing them, they'll come for you. They'll try to pull you back down, to remind you of your place. They'll call you selfish, arrogant, ungrateful. They'll throw every insult they can think of, trying to break you. And you know what you'll do? You'll laugh. You'll laugh because you'll know the truth. You'll know that their words are just weapons of the weak. That their hatred is nothing but fear in disguise. Fear of your strength. Fear of your freedom. Fear of losing the control they once had over you. And here's the best part. The moment they see they can't break you, that's when the tables turn. That's when they start to respect you. Not because they want to, but because they have to. Because they know you're untouchable, unstoppable. But don't let their respect fool you. It's not real. It's not love. It's fear. And fear is a powerful thing, kid. It's a leash they used to keep you chained. And now it's the leash you hold around their necks. So, what's it gonna be? Are you going to keep living for them? Or are you going to start living for yourself? Are you going to keep waiting for their approval? Or are you going to take back your power? Listen to me, kid. This is your moment, your chance to break free, to burn their expectations to the ground and rise from the ashes. But it's not going to happen if you keep playing their game. You've got to play your own. Set your own rules. Live by your own code. Because at the end of the day, the only person you need approval from is the one staring back at you in the mirror. And once you have that, once you truly have that, nothing and no one can stop you. What's it gonna be, huh? You gonna keep begging for scraps? Or are you finally ready to take the whole damn table? Let me tell you something, kid. Approval? It's a leash, a noose around your neck. The tighter you cling to it, the less air you get, the smaller your world becomes. And the sickest part? You're the one pulling it tighter. You've lived your whole life dancing for them, haven't you? Twisting yourself into shapes they approve of, shrinking yourself to fit into their tiny little worlds. And for what? A nod? A smile? A couple of hollow words to keep you chasing them? Let me let you in on a secret. No matter how much of yourself you give away, it'll never be enough for them. Never. They'll keep moving the goalposts, keep raising the bar, until there's nothing left of you but a shadow, a ghost. But here's the beauty of it. You can stop. Right now. You can decide that their approval isn't worth your soul. You can decide that their opinions don't get to define you. Because here's the real kicker, kid. Most of them don't even know what they want. They're just as lost, just as broken, just as desperate as you've been. They're clinging to their own lies, their own insecurities, and yet you let them hold the pen that writes your story. Why? Why do you let people who don't even know themselves tell you who you should be? Why do you let their fear, their weakness, their stupidity shape your life? Look at me, kid. Look at me. Do I look like someone who gives a damn what they think? Do I look like someone who's waiting for a pat on the back, a gold star, a good job? No. Because I learned a long time ago that their approval is a prison. And I don't do cages. But don't get it twisted. This isn't about being reckless. This isn't about burning bridges just to watch them burn. No, no, no. This is about power. Your power. The power you've been giving away your whole damn life. You think power comes from being liked? From being loved? Wrong. Power comes from being true to yourself, from standing tall, even when the world tries to tear you down. And let me tell you something else. They're gonna hate you for it. Oh, they'll hate you with every fiber of their being. Because nothing pisses people off more than someone who doesn't need them. Someone who's free. Someone who refuses to play their games. And that's exactly what you're going to be, kid. Free. But freedom has a price. You're gonna lose people. Friends, family. People you thought would be there forever. They'll turn on you the second you stop being what they want you to be. They'll call you selfish, arrogant, cold. They'll try to guilt you, manipulate you, break you. And it's gonna hurt. Oh, it's gonna hurt like hell. But pain is the price of power. Pain is the price of freedom. And you're no stranger to pain, are you? You've carried it with you for years. Let it weigh you down. Let it define you. But what if I told you that pain could be your greatest weapon? What if I told you that every scar, every wound, every betrayal could make you stronger, sharper, more unstoppable? You see, pain isn't the enemy. Weakness is. And weakness, that dies the day you stop needing them. Think about it. Think about all the nights you've spent tearing yourself apart, trying to figure out what you did wrong, trying to figure out why you're not enough. And then ask yourself this: who the hell are they to decide your worth? Who the hell are they to tell you who you should be? They don't own you, kid. They don't get to control you. Not anymore. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't care about the desperate. It doesn't respect the ones who need. It respects the ones who demand. The ones who don't ask for a seat at the table. They take the damn thing. The ones who don't apologize for who they are. Who don't shrink to make others comfortable. And that's who you're gonna be. Not because you want their respect, but because you respect yourself. And when that happens, when you stop chasing them, stop needing them, that's when the power shifts. That's when they start to see you, really see you. Not as a pawn, not as someone they can control, but as a force they can't ignore. But by then, you won't care. By then, you'll realize you never needed their approval to begin with. So here's the deal, kid. You can keep living for them. Keep breaking yourself, trying to earn their respect, their love, their validation. Or you can stand up, take back your power, and start living for yourself. But make no mistake, this isn't about them. It's about you, your life, your choices, your freedom. And freedom? Freedom is worth every scar, every tear, every loss. Freedom is worth the pain. So stop waiting for them to give it to you. Stop waiting for them to see you, and start seeing yourself. Because at the end of the day, they'll only respect you once you stop needing their approval. And by then, you'll realize their respect doesn't matter. Only yours does. But let's not sugarcoat it, kid. This world doesn't hand out respect like candy. It's not something you can buy with your best behavior or trade for a few kind words. No. Respect is taken. It's ripped out of their hands, torn from their unwilling mouths. And the irony? The moment you stop begging for it, the moment you show them you don't need it, that's when they start giving it freely. You see, people are pathetic. They love control. They love the feeling of having power over someone else. And when you're out there, bending, twisting, breaking yourself just to hear you did good, you're giving them that power. You're handing it over, wrapped in a neat little bow, saying, "Here, take my worth. Decide it for me." But what if for once you didn't? What if you stood up, spit in their face, and said, "You don't get to decide who I am. You don't get to hold the keys to my soul"? What if you took back every piece of yourself you've given away and dared them to try and take it again? Because let me tell you something. They'll try. Oh, they'll try. They'll push, they'll pull. They'll tear at you with everything they've got. Why? Because you're disrupting their system. You're shaking the fragile little world they've built for themselves, a world where they're in control and you're not. And nothing terrifies people more than losing control. But here's the twist, kid. The second you realize they can't control you, they lose their power. Completely. Utterly. Irrevocably. And that's when the real fun begins. Oh, they'll talk. They'll whisper behind your back. Scream at you to your face. They'll call you cold, ruthless, heartless. They'll say you've changed, that you've lost yourself. But you haven't lost anything. You found something. Something they'll never understand. Something they'll never have the guts to find for themselves. Freedom. Freedom, kid. It's the most dangerous thing you can have. Because once you taste it, once you feel the weight of their expectations fall off your shoulders, you'll never go back. You'll never chain yourself to their opinions again. And that makes you unstoppable. But don't think for a second that freedom comes cheap. No, it costs everything. It costs the people you thought were your friends. It costs the comfort of blending in, of being one of the crowd. It costs the lie you've been telling yourself your whole life, that you need them, that you can't do it alone. Here's the truth. You can. You've always been able to. You just didn't want to believe it, because believing it meant you couldn't blame them anymore. It meant the responsibility was yours, and yours alone. And that's scary, isn't it? Taking responsibility for your life, for your worth, for your choices. But it's also the most powerful thing you'll ever do. You think they're the problem, don't you? The people who ignore you, dismiss you, look right through you like you don't exist. But they're not the problem. You are. You've been handing them that power. You've been letting them treat you like you're nothing. And why? Because you believed them. You believed their lies, their whispers, their judgments. You let their voices drown out your own. But what if you stopped? What if, just for a moment, you silenced their voices and listened to your own? What would it say? Would it tell you that you're weak, that you're small, that you're not enough? Or would it tell you the truth, that you're stronger than they could ever understand, that you've survived things that would have destroyed them, that you don't need their approval, their validation, their hollow words? You've been looking for strength in all the wrong places, kid. You've been looking for it in their smiles, their nods, their applause. But strength doesn't come from them. It comes from you, from the fire in your gut, the grit in your soul. From the moment you decide you're done living for them and start living for yourself. But don't expect them to understand. They won't. They'll fight you every step of the way because your freedom is a threat to their control. Your independence is a mirror showing them everything they're too afraid to be. And people hate mirrors. They hate being reminded of their own weakness, their own cowardice. So they'll try to break you, to drag you back down to their level. And that's when you have to make a choice. Do you let them? Do you let their fear become yours? Or do you stand tall, stare them down and say, "Not this time. Not ever again"? You're at a crossroads, kid. Right here, right now. One path takes you back to the life you've always known. A life of chains, of cages, of waiting for them to decide your worth. The other, it's a leap into the unknown. It's terrifying. It's painful. But it's free. So what's it gonna be? Are you gonna keep living for them? Or are you finally gonna start living for yourself? Are you gonna keep chasing their approval? Or are you gonna take back your power? Because make no mistake, kid, once you take it back, once you stop needing them, you'll realize something. You never needed them in the first place. You're still thinking, aren't you? Debating, weighing your options. What if I leave them? What if I let go of their approval? Will I be alone? Will anyone care? What if I'm wrong? Let me stop you right there, kid. Those questions, they're the chains. They're the leash they've wrapped around your neck, whispering doubts into your ears, keeping you trapped in a prison you built yourself. And the worst part? You don't even realize you've been the jailer all along. Here's the thing about fear. It's sneaky. It doesn't come charging at you, teeth bared, claws out. No, it creeps in quietly, disguising itself as logic, as caution, as just being realistic. It whispers, "You can't do this alone. You're not strong enough. What if they're right about you?" And before you know it, you're paralyzed, stuck, a prisoner of your own mind. But let me tell you something, kid. Fear is a liar. It's a parasite, feeding off your insecurities, your doubts, your need to belong. And the only way to kill it is to stop feeding it, to stand up, look it in the eye, and say, "I don't believe you." Oh, they'll call you crazy, reckless, stupid. They'll tell you you're making a mistake, that you're throwing your life away. Why? Because your freedom threatens their comfort. Your courage exposes their cowardice. Your refusal to play their game makes them question their own rules. And people hate being questioned, especially when the answers make them look weak. But here's the punchline. They don't have to like it. They don't have to understand it. Hell, they don't even have to agree with it. Because this isn't about them. It's about you, your life, your choices, your power. Power. That's a funny word, isn't it? You've been taught to fear it, to avoid it, to believe it's something only bad people crave. But the truth? Power isn't evil. It's neutral. It's a tool, like a knife or a fire. In the right hands, it can build, create, inspire. In the wrong hands, it can destroy, manipulate, corrupt. The question isn't whether you should have power. The question is what you're going to do with it once you have it. And trust me, kid, you've got more power than you realize. It's been buried under years of self-doubt, smothered by the weight of their expectations, but it's there, waiting, burning. And the moment you stop looking to them for approval, the moment you decide to take your life into your own hands, that power will explode. It'll consume everything in its path. Every lie you've been told, every cage they've tried to put you in, every limitation you've ever believed about yourself. But here's the catch. Power comes with a price. You'll lose people. Oh, you'll lose a lot of people. Friends, family, lovers. They'll all scatter the moment you stop being who they want you to be. Why? Because they're not really your friends, your family, your lovers. They're just placeholders. People who've been using you to feel better about themselves. And the second you stop needing them, the second you start standing on your own, they'll see you for what you really are. A threat. And threats, kid? People don't like threats. They'll try to take you down, tear you apart, drag you back into the mud where they feel safe, but you can't let them. You've got to be stronger than that. Stronger than them. Stronger than the doubts they planted in your head. Because once you stand tall, once you refuse to kneel, they'll realize something that terrifies them more than anything else. They can't control you anymore. You've spent your whole life being afraid of what they'll think, haven't you? Afraid of being alone, of being rejected, of being seen as a failure. But let me tell you something. Being alone isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. Being alone is freedom. It's clarity. It's a chance to strip away all the noise, all the lies, all the fake smiles and hollow words, and finally figure out who the hell you are. But being surrounded by people who don't respect you, who don't value you, who only keep you around because they know they can control you. That's the real nightmare. That's the real prison. And you've been living in it for far too long. So what's it gonna be, kid? Are you gonna keep letting them decide your worth? Are you gonna keep chasing their approval, hoping one day they'll throw you a bone? Or are you finally gonna take a stand? Are you finally gonna look them in the eye and say, I don't need you. I never did. Because the second you do, everything will change. Oh, they'll hate you for it. They'll scream. They'll cry. They'll beg. They'll threaten. But deep down, they'll respect you. They'll fear you. And that respect, that fear, will be the foundation of your freedom. But by then, you won't care. By then, you'll realize you never needed their respect in the first place, because you'll have something far more valuable, something they can never take away: yourself. So here's my final question, kid. Are you going to keep living for them, or are you finally going to start living for yourself? Are you going to keep begging for their approval, or are you going to take back your power? Because the choice is yours, and the clock's ticking.